British pound seeing a bit of a decline on Tuesday as we broke through the 200-day moving average. Once we got below 130, momentum started to pick up and we got to our lowest level in about 2 weeks. So we've seen the pound decline here. It's very much politically related, very much economically related now. We saw the service sector came in with the PMI come in lower than expected. We've seen a number of other numbers come in lower. It's really just weighing down on the pound. It's not really what we're seeing black and white. I think ultimately it comes down to where you stand on the Brexit issue, but we're starting to see the economics feed into a little bit slightly softer data, which is pushing it lower. Once we got through the 200-day again, momentum started to pick up to the downside. So now we're below the 130 level. Probably will dance around that level for a while until another catalyst or another type of event brings the market either higher or lower, depending on, again, which way of the Brexit argument you stand on or which way the traders stand on. And if you look at what the Bank of England's doing, they meet this week. No change in policy expected. However, their inflation outlook, which is also part of their report, will probably show that the macro inflation with drop in oil prices maybe is getting better or lower. However, the wage component that we're seeing out of the UK continues to be strong. So that is where they're going to keep their path, which is staying on the path of possibly raising rates sooner than later, as opposed to backing off like we saw our Fed do here. And we've seen a number of other central banks do, backing off of the raise sort of slogan. I think the Bank of England will stay on it. Not that they're going to actually raise rates, but that they want to raise rates, and we'll continue to talk about it. Lastly, let's talk about the euro-pound cross, which has really kind of seen its ups and downs. Again, depending on where you fall in the Brexit issue, we've seen some major turmoil politically in the UK. Obviously, they need a more softer landing. They need to make some concessions. They need to make some agreements and get something in ink. Until they do that, you will continue to see the pound suffer, and that's what we're seeing. We're nearing a key support level between the euro and the pound, but we're not quite there yet. And it's kind of an every 2 month thing, it seems. You look at a chart after the big decline in the pound that we saw going back to April of last year. It's just every 2 months we get a little bit of positive news out of the UK, more positive news out of Europe, and back and forth and so on. And this may just be riding that trend. Next week we may get a vote if Prime Minister May can get some of her talking points through and heard at the next meeting with the EU, then that may be positive. However, again, every decision is very imminent at this point, given that March 29th line in the sand is not going anywhere and getting closer every day. So I think ultimately the pound is going to suffer more to the downside, at least leading up to Brexit. You're going to see riskless assets tend to outperform. You're going to see treasury yields decline. You're going to see gold prices continue to rally. And ultimately, it's going to come down to what type of Brexit we're going to get. Is it going to be a hard Brexit? Is it going to be a soft Brexit? Or are they just going to kick it down the road and say we're going to modify a few of these and then just kind of deal with some of the other specifics in 6 months if they can get the votes through? It's unclear as to where they stand on that right now, but as the path that we're on looks clearly right now, is that we're not going to get any kind of agreement, and that is very negative for the pound. And I think that right now, if that's the path you believe it's on, the pound is definitely a sell. However, let's wait and see what happens with some of the data and the meeting and the vote next month, or next week, and that could give us some clarity, although unlikely. But don't forget that March 29th date is coming, and it is coming quickly.